The Celtics Talk podcast is presented by 24autogroup.com. 11 locations across New England.
Good morning, sunshine. Presumably you guys are pressing play on this at a more reasonable hour than I am recording it. POSTGAME POD 64 coming to you after the Celtics. Another businesslike win over the Portland Trailblazers, 121-99. Here's what we got coming up. Abby goes one-on-one with Sam Hauser after his, I think, season high 22-point night. And the Jays hold a intriguing little dual post-game session, a rare trip to the podium together to just discuss the state of what is now a 50-win team. And so that's where I kind of want to start. It's interesting, right? Like 18 games to go, and a lot of the focus has now been like what should matter to the Celtics? What should the priority be? Do you focus on health? Do you focus on ramping guys up? Do you focus on making sure you get the best record in the NBA so that you potentially have home court advantage if you're in the NBA Finals? Can you do a little bit of everything along the way? Very interested to see how they play out. But one of the things I was thinking about with the 50th win of the year is you start thinking, where does this team, where will they end up in the pantheon of teams? My buddy John Tomasi, who you heard last week on the off-day pod, noted tonight that there's only 3 other teams that finished north of 63 wins. The 72-73 Celtics are the best in franchise history with 68 wins, 68-14. The 85-86 Celtics, we know how good they were at home and the 40 wins there, 67-15 overall. And the 07-08 Celtics, the last championship team, at 66-16. So, well, I guess 68 wins is technically still at play. I'm not sure I see the Celtics closing out on a 20-game win streak, but it's certainly, the potential is there. I mean, you can't rule anything out, but I do think they will find nights to downshift or at least trip up otherwise. Even if they don't get, let's say that like 66 feels like it's in play, that would be, 16-2 down the stretch. Doesn't seem outrageous to suggest. Because you downshift, it could be more likely that they finish south of that. But the fact that they're even mingling with 3 of the greatest teams, we did that thing back in December, kind of spurred by the popularity of the IST tournament about the best teams in Celtics history. And it's so weird because in the moment, you don't necessarily walk away thinking, is this a historic team? You're sort of caught up in the, there is flaws. You're trying to find ways to patch those over the course of the season. You're worried about how far this team might go. Any team that enters that conversation probably has to win a championship, right? Although, ironically, that 72-73 team fell short in the finals. 85-86 and 07-08 set a pretty lofty benchmark. So maybe it's not even a conversation until we see exactly how this season plays out. And yet, regardless of what happens from April, May, and June, it is just impressive that this team has potential to slot itself somewhere amid the best teams in franchise history, considering all the success the Celtics have had. I figure even if they just get the 65 and sort of enter that group that's slightly separated from the 63 win groups, which was 84-85 Celtics and 81-82. 08-09 got the 62 wins. So if they get to 65, that's 15-3 down the stretch. Again, sounds a little ambitious given the nature of the NBA and the modern NBA with downshifting at the finish line, and we'll probably see a lot of reserves. Yet the Celtics are deep enough where it shouldn't be an issue. Let tonight's game show you where the Jays had a great night, pairing up, I think, for 55 points, and yet it's Hauser going for 22. It's Payton Pritchard giving a near triple-double in his sort of hometown game off the bench. And, it's that sort of balanced output that have helped the Celtics. I'm guilty at times in our studio. I sometimes joke, this team is kind of boring. Eddie House likes to scream at me because, as he correctly points out, there's nothing boring about winning. But my insinuation is just that from a writer perspective sometimes, and someone who has to come up with a storyline here on the podcast after every game, you're sometimes just like, well, how many times can I talk about how good Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are? Or, you're looking for an alternate storyline or something to sort of that's drawing people's attention. Celtics have just been sort of a business-like buzzsaw at times this year. And a night like this where, if you did happen to go to sleep early and you are pressing play on this button and you're kind of wondering how it all played out, well, pretty familiar script. Jaylen Brown was really good in the first half and staked the team to a lead. Payton, Pritchard and Sam Hauser did their things along the way, especially in the middle quarters. And then Jayson Tatum, I think, scored 9 of his 26 or 28 in the fourth quarter to help get to the finish line and ensure that Portland never made a run. Really, outside of a little 11-0 burst in the second quarter, Portland never really threatened, and understandably so. They have an incomplete roster that, battered and bruised, a lot of younger players, and so those younger players are probably understandably up and down. Anyone would be challenged to win without Robert Williams available on the floor, as the Celtics know full well. So, yet another business-like win that leaves me wondering, is this team just going to quietly insert itself in the historical conversation? Just something to monitor. We got to monitor something over these final 18 games, and where these Celtics rank will probably become a conversation. Let's talk more from our post-game show about tonight's game.
The Celtics got even contributions from their superstars, gave you a little bit at various times. Jaylen dominating for stretches. Just business-like. We keep looking up after these games sometimes, and it's just like they just methodical with it at times. They had one little slip-up, second quarter, kind of like let that little run. Joe calls timeout. They kind of collect themselves, and they're just business-like to the finish, knowing that front night of a back-to-back, you probably got some rest coming tomorrow. You took care of business.
No wavering of energy in this game. Everything was crisp and everything. Listen, you don't make every shot and they don't miss every shot. It's just not how the league works. But I just like the way that this team played. The ball movement from the start to set off with the 20 assists right from the jump. Then you talked about the way that in the second half they kept pushing the basketball. Their spacing was immaculate. They got good shots, and it felt like they were genuinely happy for everybody's success that was on the floor. So I really enjoyed watching this team play this particular game, and no frustrations about, like the Cavs game. We can remember that. And they were playing good, and they just let go of the rope. None of that happened in this game against Portland.
We were talking about turnovers with this Celtics team. Yeah. Scott, how much better has Boston gotten at just protecting the basketball?
A little bit has to do with their spacing. I think those years that you mentioned, they played a lot of 5 out. Right now, you'll always see a person in that low dunker position, so the floor is more space. You see a lot of these where the ball is moving around. It's always finding a corner shooter. When you put guys in the corner, better space on the floor. Everything is geared around Jaylen and Jayson to make plays. Well, those guys need space. It's a lot easier to make those reads with the spacing that the Celtics have right now.
But with the pace of the game, I was worried that this could be a high turnover game for the Celtics if you just get a little bit careless, but they didn't. They took care of the basketball, and good things happened.
Well, we saw him at the top of the show, Sam Hauser. He's with Abby Chin after this win.
Sam, congratulations. Joe said pregame these next two were going to be tough to close out this road trip. How'd you guys get it done?
We just played hard, made the right reads on offense, knew our personnel on defense, and made a lot of shots, so that helps too.
You made a lot of shots. Season high 22 points, including 6 threes, some from way downtown. What did that rim look like to you?
I had a rough first half, but was able to turn around in the second half. And once you see a couple go, the rim gets bigger and you feel more confident.
Was that a little skip you did in front of the Blazers bench? What was that?
I'm not even really sure what that was. I was fully immersed in the moment.
The reserve unit riding that momentum from Phoenix. How confident is that group right now?
Really confident. Our job is to come in to bring energy, to do the little things really well, and then sometimes we have nights like this where we're a little bit more involved, and we're always ready when our number's called, and that's why we put the work in every day.
Finally, first team in the NBA to 50 wins. How does that sound?
It's pretty cool, but we're just taking it a day at a time, not really worried about it.
Sam, thank you. Congrats.
You're welcome.
All right, Sam Hauser with a season-high 22 points. Scout. Just how was Sam Hauser able to affect the game, and how did he look in terms of his confidence in this game as well?
Man, that ball was flying out of his hands, and the biggest thing for Sam is just understanding where space is and where to go when, whether that's coming off a screen to relocate, that's guy drives and you got to be that emergency release valve in the corner. He sort of understands really how to get his shot off or a catch where he can get a little extra space to get away from the defender.
You're just trying to keep the momentum going. Do you like the way you played tonight? Do you like all the things you were able to do and kind of keep them at a distance and kind of...
Yeah, we got 3 25-point quarters. We thought we managed the game really well. We had 3 turnovers for the game and a lot of good carryover from the film as far as just breaking down the layers of the defense with our offense, and I thought our defensive execution was really, really good. So, yeah, very happy, and, we got to do it again tomorrow.
You guys are now 19-1, I believe, against teams in the bottom 10 in net rating. What has allowed your team to kind of take care of business in matchups like that?
Top to bottom, because you look at Sam, O'Shea, Luke, and just top to bottom, guys are always ready to play. So, from a team perspective, bring the right mindset every night, and guys are always ready to play. So, I got another big test tomorrow.
I guess kind of a workmanlike win. I guess what do you appreciate about this group just not getting boring with the little things, especially at this point in the season?
I'd say the biggest thing I appreciate is the carryover from either a film session, shoot around, whatever the case may be. We're always trying to find, like you said, win or lose, a couple things that we need to get better at, a couple emphasis. And, I like that we're continuing to keep our defensive identity while also trying to grow. Tonight we went 3-2 zone. The guys did a great job executing it. On the offensive end, we had really good carryover from the film session as far as how we need to get better at executing. So regardless of the win or loss, as long as we keep those things, that's the most important thing.
Joe, Jayson's out there. It seems like at times he's struggling. He's trying to find a shot. He's trying to kind of get going.
26-8 and 26-8 and 5.
Yeah, we're 9 for 23.
But when Maxey did that, you said we couldn't stop him.
No, he did that in the fourth quarter.
Oh, okay.
He killed you. I
remember he had like 30 points on 28 shots, and you were like, "How come you couldn't stop him?"
No, but he killed you in the fourth quarter.
It's the same thing. It's the same exact situation.
No, but my point is that do you pull him aside? Do you do anything to try to get him going or get?
I think he's playing really good basketball. I think it just looks different. He had at least I saw 5 potential assists tonight. He had 26, 8 and 3. He's being patient. He's understanding where the game is coming from. Tonight he handled a little bit more on pick and roll. And I thought he made some good plays. He missed a couple of easy baskets at the rim. But, I think the whole, like you said, looking like he's struggling, I think that's kind of, you can tuck yourself into some of those things. And I think people are so used to seeing him dominate in a different way. But we have a different team this year with different expectations, And the best thing, the most valuable thing that a guy like him can do is do what the game needs and do what the team needs. And then also be able to be yourself, which he's done for us. And so I think he just has to continue that. But there was about 5 or 6 plays tonight that we went through in the film session that he had complete carryover for, and those are the things that I care about, to where he was able to manipulate the game with the proper spacing, take the shot that he wants to take, or get the ball where it needs to get to, and I thought he did that more times than not tonight, and that's where he's just got to continue to grow,
How'd you feel Payton did tonight, making the start at home?
Yeah, the best thing about Payton that people don't appreciate is his defense and his just tenacity, and so we all know he could score, we all know he could shoot, but his level of defensive intensity has been huge for us throughout this year, and he's really developed a role in his defense and his rebounding.
And then Sam, 3-point defense is actually one of the strengths of the Portland defense. How is he able to find?
I think that goes back to that was what we talked about today, and how we have to find ways to break down those layers and having an understanding of shot selection at different times. And guys like Sam are open on the second and third layer of the possession, because you break that down. And the guys, I thought Jaylen and Jayson and Derek in our pick and rolls did a great job of breaking down those layers, getting it to them. And there was a couple where Payton found them. And so I think it's just trying to continue to break down those layers and get the ball where it needs to get to.
I covered Pritchard when he was with the Ducks, so I'm curious how you guys felt he did tonight, making a start in his hometown.
I thought Payton was great. Payton has been playing well for a while now. Just giving us energy off the bench, making plays, shooting the ball incredibly well. He's a key piece of our team.
How'd you guys avoid kind of the letdown after obviously a tough game against Phoenix in the Denver game, just to kind of keep pace, keep them at distance, and kind of just pull away in the end?
I think just learning from those experiences, being able to adjust in real time, knowing that other teams are going to make plays and make shots, but we just do a good job of not letting the snowball effect, knowing exactly what we need to do to respond. And, most of the year we've been pretty good at that.
Jaylen, we talked about this before, but a couple of nice, impressive finishes today near the rim. Just how do you kind of try to set the tone of physicality when you try to get to the paint and everything?
Just being aggressive, especially when I have a smaller guy or someone I could take advantage of. I just try to be aggressive. Tonight I felt like I settled probably way too much. I shot like 8 or 9 threes. I didn't have to shoot none of those. I could have got to the paint, maybe found one of my teammates or whatever, but if they're open, you shoot them. But, for the most part, my job is to try to get to the paint, and that opens up the game for everybody else.
You guys, it was your 50th win tonight. I think the earliest you guys have ever reached 50 wins. At this stage of your career, do you have an appreciation for how rare it is to kind of do that consistently, and what's gone into being as consistent as you guys have year in and year out?
It's the speech you was talking about.
We just talked about that.
For sure.
Give a speech.
Yeah, for sure. Super grateful. All the guys laugh because, around this time of year, I say the same thing, how much of an honor it is to be on the team, to help that's one, get into the playoffs, to want to take that for granted. So I'm going to keep saying it till I'm blue in the face, man. I'm grateful to be on the team that's winning, to be on the team that's been playing the right way, has another opportunity to do something special. So that's a blessing. I don't care if they want to hear it or not. I'm grateful.
So you give that speech every year?
Pretty much, each and every, and it's been an honor giving that speech every year. You know what I mean? Going into, you see what's going on in different places of the league, and team chemistry, locker room. Teams that are in losing environments. That hasn't been us. For the most part, I've won every step of my career, and that's been just to great teammates, great organization, and trying to build something special. So, you don't want to take that for granted.
Yeah, Jayson, how important are those reminders? I mean, you don't know anything different. It's been this way since you got on the team.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback off what he said, we joked about it earlier, but it is important for us not to take these things for granted. Right? We've been fortunate enough to be on great teams, for 7 years and 8 years now. It's not like that in every team, around the league. So, been surrounded by really good players and good guys and good coaches, and we just try to get better individually and as a group every single day. We're not perfect, but we strive towards that, and at this point of the season, at 50 wins, we're doing something right. And scary part is we can get better. What do you expect from his speech now after hearing it a number of times every year? It's usually around the time when we find out we clinched the playoff spot. He kind of said what he just said. It's important for us not to take these moments for granted, right? We want to win a championship. That's the ultimate goal, but it's important to acknowledge the small wins, essentially, through the process of winning 50 games, making the playoffs, getting the top seed. It's not to take those things for granted, because we work extremely hard as a group to achieve that. And everybody not gonna say it, so it's all right to pat yourself on the back sometimes as a team, knowing that we got more things to accomplish. But we're doing a pretty good job so far.
Jayson, your assists are up over the last handful of games. How much emphasis are you putting on running the offense right now and really kind of putting that on your shoulders?
I think, we've done a great job. The coaches have, in these film sessions, we talk about just what we're trying to accomplish, our space, and who we're trying to attack down the floor. Right? It's a rigorous season. We don't necessarily practice as much as we would like, but those film sessions are important about our spacing, respecting each other's space, finding a mismatch that we want, understanding that they're going to double or help or overhelp. We got really good players. So, if I draw to him, it's just a simple pass. I ain't doing nothing special, and guys knocking down shots.
Jaylen, when he's doing that, what does that do for everyone else?
Makes the game easy. Makes teams not know how to guard us. When we making the right passes on time and on target, that makes everybody on the court a threat. And when everybody's on the court a threat, it makes those lanes a lot easier, a lot clearer, the reads a lot simpler when we're spaced. So when we are making those passes on time and on target, it makes us even tougher to guard. Now, if we make them casual, if we turn it over, then that leads to, us having closer games. But when we're making those right passes on time and on target, shooters are ready, or we're hitting the seam pass, or, we're taking care of it, I think that makes us extremely, extremely deadly.
The Celtics wrap up this 5-game road trip on Tuesday night. I guess tonight is a better descriptor. Visit to Utah. Ironically, I said this on our postgame show. The more intriguing game in Utah tomorrow might actually be, I think it's 12:30 local time tip. The Salt Lake City Stars, the G League affiliate for Utah, is playing at the Delta Center, and that would include Isaiah Thomas, who scored 30 points in his Salt Lake City debut, while trying to just remind everybody around the league how he still has a passion for this game and can still be an elite-level scorer no matter what basketball gym he walks into. So Celtics are on their way there following this one in Portland. I hope some of his teammates are aware, or former teammates, I should say. Maybe it would be cool if they popped over there in the morning. Maybe Joe wraps up the morning meeting and lets them go say hello. But I know how much Isaiah has kind of kept an eye on his former teammates from afar, and I'm sure they're all rooting for Isaiah to maybe even just draw the interest of one of these teams and get another opportunity at the NBA level. A super fun debut the other night. Let's see what he's got in store for a follow-up. The bigger game, I don't even want to say bigger game. It's the Celtics wrap up the road trip later that night against the Jazz, who have taken their lumps recently. So we'll see if the Celtics can come home with a winning record on this trip and get ready for the final stretch run here. We'll see who else is out there. I wonder if some players will be downshifted at the finish line of this road trip, especially after the whole starting five was on the injury report leading up to the win in Portland. We'll be right back here with you probably tonight would be the right word. We'll see if we go past midnight on that with a 9 o'clock game. But go like, subscribe, check us out on the YouTube page. We'll catch you tonight on the PostGame Pod.